Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get to Know Them. I'm so happy you're here on this beautiful sunshiny day. My goodness, we have been waiting a long time for this here in Burlington, Ontario, where Get to Know Them is live every Tuesday on Facebook. So thanks so much for joining. And if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you do subscribe. So today I have a very, very special guest for you. But before I introduce her, I wanted to just say, if you're coming on here for the first time and you've never watched the show, this is a show that I created when the pandemic first started because I wanted to interview some of the most inspiring people that I know. And I thought, what a great place to do it right here in my studio in Burlington, Ontario. And I hope that every story you walk away with something inspiring and some really good nuggets of information and stories and all that good stuff. So that is why I created this show. I have two awesome show sponsors. The first one is me. I sponsor my own show. So I'm a jewelry designer. The show's broadcasted from my studio. I design all kinds of beautiful jewels. And this week we're having a big Mother's Day sale on our website. So go to Glam Jewels, GLAMJULZ.com, and grab yourself some beautiful jewels. My other sponsor is my dear friend Brenda Bedome, who is an amazing Canadian clothing designer. I'm wearing her top today and her pants. She has a gorgeous collection of clothes. You can check her out at brendabedome.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. Are you guys ready? My guest today is a friend of mine, a very recent friend, a woman I have met probably about a month ago, and we became fast friends, and her name is WhiteEagle Stonefish, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Before we bring her on, though, I want to read you her beautiful bio. WhiteEagle is an elder, healer, and teacher. She comes from the reservation Moravian of the Thames. She is a 60s Scoop survivor and thriver. WhiteEagle resides here in the city of Burlington and is the Indigenous advisor to our mayor, Marianne Mead Ward. WhiteEagle is and loves to be active in community. We were introduced by our mutual friend, Julie Cole. She wanted to connect with us because we have a huge common interest. And that's how we met. And I'm not going to talk about that until WhiteEagle is right here beside me. There she is. How you doing?
Hi,
Are you loving the sunshine?
I am
Oh,
so much loving the sunshine. It's about
we
time.
needed this. I know we needed this. We needed this so bad. It's so good to see you today. I'm so happy that we get to spend this time together and
Me
to really
too,
get to know each other.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's going to be great. So, maybe we'll start with telling the folks about how we met. I was on Facebook and I got tagged by Julie Cole on a beautiful pair of navy blue roller skates. They're navy blue, right?
They're
Are
black.
they? Oh,
They're
they're
black.
black. Okay. The picture, it look okay. Black roller skates. And basically, Julie was saying, you two need to meet. And next thing you know, I'm messaging you and we are talking about everything about roller skating. And actually, Skater Rob is watching the interview right now. He just hopped on, said good afternoon. and and then you came out for a lesson
Hmm.
and I was so happy to see you. And we were just both like we met instantly as two 14-year-old kids like on the roller rink.
Right? Literally,
And there's no
second
turning back
nature.
from that. Yeah, you're not
Right?
going to get rid of me now. I hate to tell you.
Yay! That's good. Good
Yeah.
for me.
So I wanted to ask you, White Eagle, when you were a kid growing up, did
Right?
you have any thoughts about what you wanted to be when you grew up or anything like that? Kind of your earliest memory of those kinds of thoughts?
So my whole thing that I always wanted to be when I grew up was to be a nurse. And
Oh,
whenever I was in play, when I was playing, I was a nurse. And I was always healing people, right, as a nurse. And even above the doctor, I was the one that was healing my patients. So it's interesting because they say like whatever you play, that's what you become, right? That's your true heart's desire. So as a healer, I took on that energy of being a nurse, right? It's a different kind of nurse. Um, Mine's about an energy, right? Like I work with the energy. I teach people how to heal themselves. Um, and I like to inspire people, right? I like to inspire people so that they can become the best possible person that they are, right? I like to bring out the good in people. So as a nurse,
Wow.
that's what I do.
Yeah, you definitely do. So, what happened in your life that you decided that this is who you wanted to be in the world, to empower other people to be their best selves through healing? Like, was there
So when
someone who influenced you? Yeah.
was there someone that really influenced me?
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm not so sure about that because I'm a 60 Scoop survivor. So I grew up in the children's aid, and I had like 12 different homes. I was in 12 different homes, 3 group homes. And during that time, um, I suffered a lot of trauma. Like there was a lot of trauma. Um, there was a lot of abuse, like a lot of beatings, a lot of um, being put away in the attic, in the basement, in the garage, and there was just a lot of abuse. But what I can say is that there was one person during that time who I seen on TV who probably brought me through it in an interesting way, and that would be Buffy St. Marie, because I remember seeing her on Sesame Street, and and I realized that she was like me. I knew that she was um because in my heart I knew that I was like her, which was indigenous, right?
Yeah.
And that would probably be the blood memory. But then again, I also at times I'd had people tell me that that's what I was, that I was an Indian, and that my ancestors were drunks and stuff like that. So
Mm.
I would have to say that she was probably one of the biggest influencers. So whenever
Wow.
I seen her on TV, I'd be like, oh, oh, like that kept me hoping. But then again, I have a real strong spirit. So I always had creator, right?
Yeah.
I always had
Yeah.
creator from the time that they took me to church when I was 5. And I was like, oh yes, yes. I
Mhm.
understood that, right? So
Right.
yeah.
So White Eagle, I would love if you could share with us. I think a lot of people know, but I think also a lot of people don't know about Sixties Scoop and what that was exactly. Would you be willing to share
So
with us what was
yes,
happening?
yes.
Okay.
So 60 Scoop came after the residential school. So my both of my parents were in the residential school, and they were in the same residential school, and it was called the Mush Hole. It's by Brantford. Okay,
Okay.
it's now called a cultural learning center, and it's in Brantford. So um, so after that, the government um, they decided to then scoop the children from those 60 scoop from those residential school survivors. So my parents, unfortunately for them, because of how they were raised up or not raised up, they ended up losing us to the children's aid, right? Because they just came in and took us. So there was a period of time when like all of my brothers and sisters were adopted but me, and my mother um she got sober, she married, she did everything that the children's aid had wanted her to do, but they still would not give me back to her. And so that led me on my little journey of being in the children's aid. And it's interesting to me because I was the only family member out of 5 kids that remained and I was one of the youngest that remained not adopted, and just in care for 18 years.
Oh,
And and so yeah, so I believe that this was another way in which they were trying to assimilate us, right?
mm-hmm.
Take the Indian out of us. Um, Fortunately for us, there is enough of us who said no, 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 no. Like, I remember who I am because of the blood memory. So blood memory is like your ancestors, right? And so within our blood and within our DNA, we carry our ancestors' wisdom. We carry our ancestors' suffering. And so it is on us to remember our wisdom and then to heal the suffering. And so this is part of what I do as a nurse,
Wow.
right?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Right. And it's
Amazing.
vitally
Yeah.
important to me that we heal and that we are able to come together,
Yeah.
right?
Very important. Did you ever see your mom when you after the 18 years when
I
you
did
reunited?
see my mother. I did see my mother because I went when I was about 18 years old. I went to the Indian Affairs in London, Ontario, and they hooked me up that same day. So I went and seen her. I knocked on her door in her little apartment in London, Ontario, and I was like nervous as heck. But when she opened up the door, I was like, I seen myself standing there because we we look like twins. Like literally, if you've seen her, you see me. If you see me, you see her, right? Like we're identical. And now I have short hair, and of course it's starting to go this beautiful color of gray.
It is
And
beautiful.
right,
Yeah.
so I had cut my hair, and my nephew Johnny, he answered the door when I went to see her just about a couple of years ago, and he's like, "Oh, Grandma, you came to visit." So
Aw.
she is this wonderful woman who has incredible knowledge. But unfortunately for her, because of what she went through in the residential school, because she was there for many years, there's a part of
What's
her,
many years?
like
What
many
what
years,
would
I
many
would say
years?
from
Yeah.
the age of about 3 to 12. And that
Wow.
is a
So she was
lot of years.
taken, yeah, so she was taken from her family,
Yes, she was.
put into the resident. And
Yeah,
and was she ever reunited with her family, or
she
did that
was.
happen for her? Okay.
She was.
Wow.
Unfortunately, though, because of the amount of abuse that my parents suffered, um,
Mhm.
they were never fully able to heal, and rightly so, because I mean they watched children die. They seen children die.
Yeah.
They suffered great abuse. And so when you suffer that kind of abuse, it's almost impossible to heal that completely, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Wow. Wow. So you're so involved in the Burlington community. It's
mhm.
just amazing what you're teaching all of us, and I'm curious to know. I know you do volunteer work for our mayor, Marianne Mead Ward, where you're advising her. I'd love to know how you met her and how that relationship started. I know you have several relationships with a lot of really amazing people, but I did interview Marianne on the show, and I would just love to know sort of your connection with her and how that came to be.
So when the 215 shoe came out, and that was going back a couple of years now, she had posted on her Facebook, the mayor, Marianne Mead Ward, she had posted on there that they were lowering the flags for the 215 shoes and the residential school survivors. And so I had put um, on the post, I had put on the post thanking her for doing that because I felt so moved that she would do that. And she sent me a message on Messenger and she goes, "Can I talk to you?" And to be honest with you, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Like, because I didn't really trust the government officials. There was no reason for me to trust the government officials in any way, shape, or form. But I could hear in her voice, like she was kind of quivering, and I felt like I could feel that she was very nervous to be actually even reaching out. And because of that, I thought, well, you know what? Perhaps she's a good person. So I did take her call and it went very well. And she invited me down to City Hall for a little ceremony the following day. And I did go down and I did meet her. And she was very, very emotional. And she was very um, like, well, this is your space. You're here and this is your time, right? Like I'm taking up space for you and how can I be here for you? And she even took instruction from me when putting down tobacco. I think we were putting down tobacco onto something, and I said, "No, no, no. This is where we put it." Blah blah blah. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she did it. She listened to what I was saying in that moment as to how we needed to put the tobacco down and where it needed to go. And she was like, "Okay." And during that whole ceremony, um she was very mournful, and I
Mm.
think I could feel from her that she was very like almost embarrassed even, right? And so because of that, I was like, okay, so you know what, perhaps she's okay. and
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's how that began.
Wow. That's beautiful. Yeah. th- I love, yeah, we're going to talk more about that too, but I love the piece from you where, you're tapping in with your intuition and just your feeling with that person, you know?
Mhm.
Because you're right, you have no reason at all to trust her or anybody in that type of position, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, just amazing. And so you're performing ceremonies
Yes.
in Burlington. And so tell us how these ceremonies came. So, first of all, we can back up a little. So, when you were able to reunite with your mom, you were 18 years old when you did that?
Yes.
You reunited? Okay. So, there's a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about. First of all, was there ever a time where you were having to go by an English name and that you took your power back and now you go by White Eagle? I'd love to know that story. That's question one. And then in the reuniting with your family, were you introduced to ceremonies by them at that time? Do you remember ceremonies when you were below the age of 5?
No.
No. Okay. So I'd love to know sort of the 18, what happened there. First of all,
So
with your name, maybe we could.
okay, so
Whatever.
my name,
Mhm.
my I call it my government name because it's the one that has all of the numbers, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
we have numbers for everything, right? Our healthcare, our license, whatever. So I leave that with that. So my government name is Arlinda Rose Stonefish. Okay. So
Okay.
my mother gave me that name Arlinda from a book that she was reading when I was in utero. So she was reading this book, and there was a character named Arlinda, and Arlinda in the book had a very traumatic childhood. She had a very rough beginning through her 20s, 30s, and even 40s. And beginning about her 50s and getting higher to the 60s, her life became really good. And she died a lovely old woman, witty, and she died with all her faculties, and she just died in her sleep. Now, my mother thought that this was going to be my life. She felt that I was Arlinda, so she named me Arlinda. And then Rose is a family name that my aunt has, my cousins have. Um, Even my granddaughter's name is Rosalina. So there's a bunch of roses, and so she gave me Rose, and then of course my last name is Stonefish. So, but then a couple, just when the 215 shoes came out, just shortly after that, Justin Trudeau said that the Indigenous people should be allowed to have their name. So, and that we should be able to change it for free. So I decided in that moment when he said that, because I can remember watching it, it was raining outside, and I was sitting on the couch, and he said that. And I got really emotional because I felt like years of years and years of crap had just been taken off my shoulders. And I thought, you know what? I can be me now. And I just thought, White Eagle, that's my name. And I thought that's what it is, right? So I started telling people I am White Eagle, because in the Indigenous community, we don't say my name is White Eagle. We say I am White Eagle, because the name White Eagle carries a certain energy. It carries the truth of my being from my ancestors and from my blood memory. So I am White Eagle. My name isn't White Eagle.
Yeah.
I am White Eagle. So I go by that. So I have decided now that I will not change my name, Arlinda Rose Stonefish, to White Eagle, because I don't want those numbers on White
Right.
Eagle, right? White Eagle is free, right?
Oh,
So I
you,
need to remain free, right?
yes.
Although Arlinda Rose Stonefish, in a sense, is free too, because my mother thoroughly thought through that name. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she came from a place of great love when she gave me that name.
That's so beautiful. And I'm so happy because I didn't know the story, and I'm happy to hear that that name came from your mother, not from
Yep.
somebody else,
Yep.
just putting a name on you. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And so when it comes to ceremony, no. So the first time, like the first real time I came back into my own, I was about 18, 19, 20. And the first time I went to, I guess, a powwow, I would have been like maybe 2021. And I went to a traditional powwow. Now, traditional powwows are different from um, the other types of powwow, because they generally don't um, include money. Okay,
Mm.
so like there won't be that many vendors set up taking in money and stuff, right? And so I went to ceremony with a traditional powwow, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. I am home. And it woke inside me um, all of the information that had ever been given to me by my ancestors, my great, 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 great ancestors, even, right? And it woke within me a beginning of a healing, which has taken many, 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 many years, right?
Hmm.
Many, many years.
Incredible. Wow. So take us through a powwow, what it is exactly. So what's happening in this situation?
Well, in a powwow, so at a powwow, when
Hmm.
you go to a powwow, you will see all of the different types of dress, the way that we dress, the way that we dance, the way that we eat, the music, which is drumming. You will hear a lot of different elders tell different stories. You will meet different healers. You will meet different people who have different gifts. So, like, there are elders who give out names, for instance, right? So I am not qualified, as you can say, to give out a name. I'm working on that, and I may be able to do that, but that's not my focus, because to give a name is very sacred, and there's a lot of different prayers and such that go with giving a name, right? So at a powwow, you will get to hear us share about how we are brothers and sisters. And there's a real sense of community. And even though sometimes that community can be quite dysfunctional, because you got to remember that we are doing a healing too, right? We are
Mhm.
still healing as a people, and we are still trying to find our way back to each other because of the 60 Scoop and the residential school and this forced assimilation, right? Because of the forced assimilation, it has divided us. And so we are finding our way back to each other. And so for the next 7 generations, that is what we will be doing, along with working with our allies who are non-Indigenous, right? So that
Right.
will be the Black community, the yellow community, and the white community. So yeah, at a powwow, you'll get to see us do our dancing, our sacred dancing.
Yeah.
There's different types of dancing, right? There's
Nice.
the jingle, there's the um, there's the jingle, and there's just a whole bunch of them. And because I wasn't expecting this question, so I'm not.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's great. I'm just like I'm visualizing it all. It's just yeah. And working with allies, how is that in the community? How has that sort of developed?
So
Like that's
So
yeah.
so I run the full moon ceremonies here in Burlington. I do the
Hmm.
solstices in Burlington. So where it really began was there was this couple that I had met at an art installation down at Spencer Smith Park. And this couple approached me and invited me out to their home. So their names are Julie and Tony Hall. Okay, and they own their home going way out on the Guelph line. And they entered, so we were sitting around their fire, right? And they said to me, "How can we help?" And Julie was like, "How can I help? Like, what can we do to be allies?" So I was sitting there and I was thinking, we had the fire, and I was thinking, oh, I said, I could do the full moon ceremony here. And she was like, "Oh, that would be awesome." And so they asked me about the full moon ceremony. And so I told them about it and what it entailed. And so from there, she invited Mary Ann Mead Ward. So So she says to me, "I invited Mary Ann Mead Ward. I invited the mayor." And I was like, oh, you did you? No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? But I was
Um,
like, you know what? This would be good, right?
yeah.
Because Mary Ann had never been to any kind of a ceremony. And I thought that this would be good for her to see a little bit of what the Indigenous community is about. And she did come. And that first full moon ceremony was very magical. It was very cathartic. And it was very good for me in the sense of like, wow, there's a lot of non-Indigenous people here. And so that and I came to understand what allies were, right? And it was a moment in which I accepted our allies as allies, right? Because up till then, I hadn't really thought to work with the non-Indigenous community, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, at that point, I hadn't even worked in ceremony for quite some time because I didn't know if that's what I was supposed to be doing, to be quite honest with you.
Mhm.
And so that's how it began. And I had more women come out, and over time I met more people, and so I've gained a lot of allies, so and then the next person that asked me to do something was Rory Nissan, and he's the counselor for um, the third, what would you call it, district? I
Oh,
don't know.
Ward? Is
Ah,
it Ward
there you
3?
go,
Yeah.
Ward
Yeah.
3. And
Yeah.
he wanted me to do a spring solstice, and so that's how the solstice came in. And that first solstice, once again, it was a very special time. And I realized that I could actually do this, right? That I had already honed my craft in healing anyways, but that I was to move it even further, move it forward even further, and to work with the non-Indigenous community, because there was a lot of healing that had to be done. And so what comes to mind is reconciliation, right? We are in a place of still pushing out the truth,
Yeah.
and through healing will come reconciliation. Um, we still have a ways to go, right? We still have a ways to go. And but I believe that we will get there. I mean, there's enough allies out there who really want to um, who really want that healing. Julie Cole is one of them.
Mhm.
Peter Van Dyke is another one of them, right? These are people who are influential in the community, and they have opened up their hearts, and they work with us, and they're constantly bringing us in, bringing us in, because they also understand that it's their role, right? It's what they are supposed to be doing to bring
Mhm.
to help this healing along. So Peter Van Dyke and Julie Cole, they're very big allies of mine. We have worked together on many different things. Lorraine Rollo is another one of them. Um,
Mhm.
um, there's just so many
Yeah.
who want,
Wonderful.
yeah.
I'm just curious. So when you did that first ceremony, what sort of like when you saw that there were so many non-Indigenous people who were coming, was that overwhelming to you at first? Was it like,
No.
how did that feel? It felt
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so for myself, when I'm getting into a place of ceremony, or I'm getting into a place of teaching, when I'm getting
Mhm.
into a place of healing, I no longer see color. Okay. So for me, it's about connecting to my ancestors. It's about connecting to Creator. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what ability you have. It does not matter if you are even the prime minister. Okay. Because when you enter into a circle, everyone that is sitting in that circle is equal. And we are all brothers and sisters, and there is no one above and there is no one below. We are all equal. And because that's how Creator sees us, right? That's how the ancestor sees us. Yes, there are people who are leaders, who are very strong leaders, and they've been chosen to do that. But they also have to understand that when they enter that circle, we are all equal. So even though I'm leading and I'm the healer and I'm the one that's blah 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 blah, I am still equal. I am, if anything, I may be even a little bit below in that moment, because I have to be in a place of listening to the creator energy, right?
Mhm.
And I cannot mislead people for my for myself, for that low ego, right? I
Yeah.
can't do that. That's not my place. My place is to understand that I'm equal and that I am bringing in a lesson. And even in that moment, I'm learning, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just that I'm leading you and teaching you, but I'm also being led. And I must listen to Creator, and I must listen to my ancestors, and I must even listen to your ancestors, because part of when I'm doing ceremony, before I actually I call in the ancestors of all the group, of anyone who sits
Okay.
in my circle, because I must listen to your ancestors. It's not that I'm just listening to my ancestors, right?
Wow.
So
Right.
yeah, that's um that's how I am. That's how I work. Mm.
Amazing. So when you're doing a full moon ceremony,
Yes.
can you run us through sort of what you do in that within that ceremony? Is it different every time, or does it have to do with the specific moon? Like sometimes we have a pink moon or a wolf moon,
Yeah.
is that part of it, or?
Okay, so for myself,
Hmm.
I don't go by the names of the moon. Okay,
Okay.
and there's a reason why, and it's because there are so many names to every moon. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is what I've come to understand is that you can call the moon whatever you want. You just need to honor the moon. So if you call it the pink moon, it's because you have taken in that teaching about the pink moon. If you call it the wolf moon, it's because you've taken in that teaching of the wolf moon. So for me, this is how I go. I live my life by the moon. So I don't live by the calendar. Okay. I don't live by um, the months and the years. And, I just don't because I don't really understand it.
Hmm.
So now that I've said all that, when I do have um, meetings, of course, then I do put it into my phone in the
Yeah.
calendar, right? Um, so in that sense, I may live by the calendar, but I live my life by the moon. Okay. So when I do a ceremony, the layout of the ceremony is usually the same. I'm not going to share that here because once again,
Mhm.
it's sacred. Okay. So
Okay.
what I can tell
Yeah.
you is that if you want to experience it, you need to come out to it.
Yeah.
What I can say is that I release the energy that is most um, pressing on you. I help you to do that, but then I bring in the good energy of the moon, right?
Mhm.
The grandmother. I bring in that energy, and I help you to bring in that energy. I help you to bring in a teaching that is being brought to you by your ancestors. What I can tell you is that I do guided meditations, okay,
Okay.
to
Yeah.
help you achieve that. Um, so
Beautiful.
yeah, and that would be the healer part of me, right? So
Yeah.
um, the layout is pretty much the same most of the time. The teachings from month to month, and it is dependent on what I'm going through that month. That is the teaching that you will receive. Generally, the teaching that you receive is usually where you're at too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And if it's not, it's definitely a teaching that you can use that will help
Yeah.
you to move through um, the negative energy that you may be going through.
Right. That's amazing. Not to compare it at all. I've done some energy work in groups, and what always amazes me is that there can be a common theme. Like you bring all these people together from all different walks of life, and then you start talking about the energy, and everybody's got the same. It's like we all came together to heal on this one theme that,
Yep.
like, how does this person I don't even know, how are they going through that? It's quite miraculous. It's just, yeah.
Well, it's because the ancestors and the universe, it moves in such a way that it will bring the people that you need to help you to heal and to get through it, whatever it is that you're going through, right? So
Yeah.
people arrive in your life at the exact moment that you need them, whether it be negative or positive, right? And that's
Mhm.
another thing you need to understand is that if you're negative, you will attract that negative energy. And you will keep attracting that negative energy until you get it, until you understand what it is, the teaching or the lesson your soul is calling for,
Mhm.
right?
How did you tap into that? Like, how old were you when you were it doesn't even matter how old you were, but just like, what was that moment where you connected those dots, or that you were able to receive that message from your ancestral blood? Like, and I'm asking because of the trauma that you went through. I mean, you could have taken a completely different road, right? Like, and somehow this beautiful strength in you, now you're healing other people and you're welcoming, people of all nationalities and all walks of life to come and join and heal together. That's freaking a miracle, you
So
know?
okay,
Like, I, yeah.
so what I can tell you, in my earlier years, I did go
Yeah.
down a very different road, and that was a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, because I didn't know any better, right? So
Yeah.
so when I was in the Children's Aid, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have any love at all, to be quite honest with you. So when I was 18, I was released from the Children's Aid. At 18, I threw myself in front of a tow truck. I took a real serious try on my life, but of course, here I am. I broke my pelvis. Um, thank goodness I wasn't put in a wheelchair, right?
Oh.
But so I did take a bit of a journey on the dark side. I married two very abusive men. I was able to get out of those relationships. But I have to say that during all of those times, I did meet, um, I myself did come across other elders, other teachers, nuggets that I kept, and then nuggets that I cast aside. Um, for myself, I gotta say though, I guess within myself, within White Eagle, within Arlinda Rose Stonefish, because of my connection to Creator, I did a lot of my own healing. I did a lot of my own understandings. I received a lot of teachings from the universe. And I think maybe perhaps in my younger years, because I was forced to be on my own and being taken to church and understanding the creator energy, understanding though for myself that church really wasn't my place though,
Mhm.
um, there was a connection made. My
Yeah.
happy times in my younger years was when I sat in a field, because there were many times when I was put outside and I was alone. So I sat with nature. I sat under a tree, right? Um, I gotta say, perhaps I'm just very well connected.
Yeah.
And that does not come from anybody. That doesn't come, and that will go for you. That goes for anybody. You're either really well connected in the process of becoming really well connected, or you will never become connected. Unfortunately, there are people who will never um, come to understand their soul. Um, and we have to be accepting of that, right? Like, that's just how it is. So
Yeah.
I pray for those people, right? When I put my tobacco in the water, and I do that practically every day, I put tobacco down, right? I use
Okay,
the
talk.
medicine.
Yeah, if you can, actually, that's great because I have a really good question from one of our viewers. And it's about sage, but I would love to start with tobacco and how it's used.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we have four medicines. We have tobacco, we have cedar, we have sage, and we have sweetgrass. Okay, so
Okay.
tobacco is what we pray with, and that's what we put down on the ground, in the water, in the fire, and that whatever it that is like a prayer, and that's going to Creator. Okay,
Mm.
the cedar protects your home. So when you burn it's protecting your home. You can also put it in the window so that it keeps out the bad spirits, right? Um, and then there is the sage. So the sage um, cleanses your mind and your physical. The sage is one of the ones is that it protects pretty much everything, but the sage protects the physical. It opens up the spirit, along with the sweet grass, right? So, so I use sage quite a bit, but I use my tobacco more. I would have to say I use the tobacco. Yeah, that's my go-to medicine
Wow.
because for
Oh,
me, vibrationally, the frequency and the vibration of tobacco is the highest. This is what I've come to
okay.
understand for myself. Now, someone else may find that sage is their medicine and that's their go-to, right? Or
Mhm.
cedar or the sweetgrass. When I do a full moon ceremony and I'm cleansing the space, I will put I will put tobacco around the whole entire perimeter of where we will come together.
Okay.
And that's because I'm bringing in the highest frequency, the highest vibration of love, peace, and joy from the creator and our ancestors.
Beautiful. Wow.
So, and there's
So,
teachings that go along
yeah,
with all of those too, right? I'm not
right.
going to get into those now because it's
Yeah.
well, it's quite lengthy, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's not really something that you would want to share um, in this forum, right? In
Right.
this,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So our viewer, Dawn Demeter, actually, she had a couple of questions that I thought were great. So she wanted to know traditionally how the sage is used, which you have just talked about. And she wanted to know is there some importance on where you purchase the sage? She also wanted to know, um, is it disrespectful for us to cleanse with sage? So I thought those were interesting questions.
So
Like,
so okay, so when I
yeah,
get my sage, when I get my
mhm,
medicines, um,
yeah,
they for me because I'm indigenous, they must come from indigenous people. Okay,
yes,
so when I get my tobacco, my sage, and my sweetgrass, I get it from the Six Nations. Okay, or any other reserve, and that's the closest reserve to Burlington. So,
mhm,
so this past weekend, I was on my own reserve, which is Moravian of the Thames, Bucktown. I bought tobacco there. Okay. So
yeah,
for myself, I feel like I need to get it from my own people because I'm honoring them, right? I'm
mhm.
keeping it strong. Um, so of course, and you should, and whoever wants to use it should use it, right?
Okay,
You should
great. Yeah,
use it. Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, and when you use it, don't use it for in the sense of like, well, I want money to come my way, or these type of things, right?
yes,
It's
yeah,
more about cleansing yourself, cleansing your home,
mhm.
cleansing, and it's also about protection, right?
Right.
It's
Because
also
I've heard
about
a lot of people. Yeah, like I've heard, this is just stuff flying around on social media or whatever. Burn sage and get the bad energy out of your house. Like if somebody comes into your home and they have bad energy, you want to burn sage to remove that energy. But I feel like it's, I mean, maybe partially, but
I
there's a lot
yeah.
more to it than that. Yeah,
Um,
it sounds.
I you know what? It does work though. Like even if you just
Mhm,
burn it and you really don't know what you're doing, as long as you keep the thought of creator that you're doing it for good. So you keep the thought of peace, gratitude, being humble. So if you're burning the sage during those moments, that's a good thing. So you want to also cleanse your eyes, the things that you see, the things that you hear, the way that you speak, and what's
mhm.
in your heart, right?
Yeah,
And so
right.
that's so when you're using the sage, that's what you want to do. And you want to put it over top of your head because you're cleansing the crown, right? And you put it to your
Mm,
heart because you're cleansing the heart and you're opening the heart to goodness. Okay.
yes.
So what I can say though is sometimes you have to be very careful about what you're opening up to. Like what are you opening up to? Are you and so this is how sometimes people can go awry because they're opening themselves up to maybe not good energy because they're not in a
Hmm.
good place. So my thing is that when you're using the medicines, be very careful and
Hmm.
be in that loving, peaceful gratitude place because it's very
Yeah.
important that you are.
Right. And how can we as allies, that was the last part to Don's question was how can we as allies use these medicines to support the Indigenous community? Is there, eh, a way
And
that,
so
yeah,
so okay. Um if you want to be our allies, all you have to do is start praying for us.
yeah,
Start signing some of these petitions that are online. Start going to some powwows and learning. Start going to ask to sit with elders. Um, ask to be a part of your Indigenous community in whatever city you are living in. Right?
mm,
Um, start learning about the medicines. Start. But the top one I would have to say is start praying and start to
yeah,
understand and begin to understand that we are indeed brothers and sisters. Okay,
mhm,
above all else, above being allies. Okay, above being allies is the understanding that we are brothers and sisters and that we have a voice and that we have a place at the table, that we have a place in your circle. Bring us into your circle and let us speak. Let us share, right?
mhm.
That is how you become an ally. And I have come
Beautiful.
to realize that here in Burlington, I have many allies. And now I have an ally with you, right?
Yeah.
You are a phenomenal sister. So,
Aw, I feel the same about you.
right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, it's so
And
great.
and one of the
Yeah.
biggest commonalities with us is our
Hmm.
roller skating.
I know. My God. I can't. Do you go like how many sleeps till Thursday? And you know what? I feel terrible because you had a very sacred thing happening last Thursday and I did not even pay attention to what it was. And all I was doing is texting you, I can't believe you're not coming roller skating. Just ditch whatever you. And then I looked, I'm like, oh my God. Maybe look at what she was doing before you start.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay because you know what? Roller skating is for me is so important right now because of my physical
Yeah.
health, right? Like I want to
Right.
stay healthy. And so I've always loved to skate. Like I always loved to skate. So the last time, okay, so the first time you ever met
Tell
me was the
us.
first time I had been on roller skates since I was 14, okay?
Yeah.
Now, in my younger years, as I was roller skating, I wasn't very confident, right? Obviously, because I had all that trauma that was
Yeah.
on me. So when I used to roller skate, it was very like very hodgepodge, if you will, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Very sketchy, right? And so now, fast forward to today, I bought my roller skates off of Amazon during the pandemic when everything was closed down.
Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't wear them until the day I seen you. And and I was like,
Oh,
I know, right? And I went there
oh my
for the
God.
lesson. So I'm gonna have to take a few more lessons, I'm realizing. Because I'm still
Yes.
a little bit like, ugh. But I can
Yeah.
feel that I have more confidence, which is really important.
Right.
And I'm feeling like I'm
So,
gonna be able to skate in them, right? I'm like, I'm
yeah,
determined I'm gonna skate in them and I'm gonna like, who knows,
you are.
right?
And we need to do that sunset skate together at Pier 8. That'll be
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, in
yes,
Hamilton.
Friday.
Yeah, but the lessons are so good. And yeah, because, that's the thing. When I started back in November, even though the lessons are kind of repetitive, I didn't care. It's a great way to warm up. It's a great
Yep.
way to familiarize yourself again with that feeling of having those wheels on your feet, and
And
it's safety
I
for the rest of the night.
oh, I gotta say something because I
Yeah.
seen Lisa Kearns on Thursday night at an event that we were both at, and
Okay.
immediately we both had roller skating on our brain as soon as we seen each other because I had
Mm.
posted on my Facebook and had put her I had tagged her in it and I said, Lisa Kearns, we need a rink. So when I seen her last Thursday night, she was like, we looked at each other and I go, we need a rink. And she goes, yes, we do. She goes, because I love to roller skate. So Lisa Kearns, if you're listening or if you watch this, remember you said that
Yeah, I'm
Burlington
going to
needs a
follow up with
skating rink.
her.
All right,
Oh, that would be amazing.
right?
Yeah,
It would be
yeah.
awesome.
It's yeah, it's a beautiful sport, and I feel like there are many times I try to sit with my thoughts and meditate, and I have those moments when I'm in creation, with my jewelry, but I can honestly tell you there's something a few laps around and all of a sudden you can't help it. It's like a beautiful portal. It just takes you in and the meditation is happening.
Right?
So,
Maybe I should do a full moon ceremony on roller skates.
yeah, let's
Hey,
do it. I'm in. I will
right?
organize the whole thing for you. Recruit the people.
Right.
Yeah, we could. We could do it here in my studio space. I'll open the garage door. We'll be able to see the moon and we'll be on the skates. Anything you want.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. I loved, loved, loved chatting with you today. This is so great. And I'm so excited. This is just the beginning of a long friendship and
It
lots of
is.
skate nights. And I cannot wait to come out to your ceremonies. I'm really excited to do that. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
looking forward
yeah.
to it.
I love it. And thank you for everything you do and the healing that you offer. We all need healing it in some capacity, and to have somebody like you who really understands it and can connect with spirit and share that with us, we're very, very lucky. So
Well, you know what? I appreciate you having me on your show. I really well, actually, when you first approached me, I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like, do I even have anything to say? I don't. Well,
oh,
yeah, I always have a lot to say, but it's like,
yeah,
is it going to be good?
yeah,
Right?
of
But
course.
yeah,
It's perfect. Actually, Skater Rob just said, let's do a full moon ceremony at Pier 8 in Hamilton.
yes,
Yes, we could do that. It's
yes,
on.
yes, it's on.
When
It's
is the
on.
next full moon? When is the,
Oh,
do you know?
now I'd have to look in my
You sure?
calendar. See, that
That's
would be,
okay. Yeah,
but
we can
I
figure
can't
that
look
out.
in my calendar because I couldn't
You're
get on
using it.
because I'm using my phone, right? Because I couldn't get
Yeah,
my my computer wouldn't let me.
it's okay. It was all that energy. There's something going on with
I
you
know,
and
right?
me, all the excitement. Your computer went, can't handle it.
Yeah, it's like I'm not letting
But
you
it
on.
worked.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah. But it worked out perfectly. And for anybody who's watching this interview, oh, my mom just chimed in that we just had a full moon, which is true. So we're looking at about
Friday.
30 more days. Yeah. But yeah, like to get the camera in the right place. So White Eagle and I both have, like, if we could show you pictures, I got like building blocks with my laptop sitting on top. You've got like a picture frame, all kinds of stuff just to get that perfect angle. And that's what we do to look professional. Like, come on, we look like we're on CBC right now.
Right? It looks like somebody else did it for me, actually, to be quite honest with you, because I'm
Yeah,
I'm not internet savvy. I got to be honest with you. I'm not internet savvy. I usually I get my kids to do it for me because they can do it so much faster than me.
yeah.
Right?
But you
Yeah.
did great. It's wonderful. It's all good. Now you get to go eat some lunch, girl.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to put you in the virtual green room and then I'll be
Okay.
right back to you. But thank you again so, so
Thank
much.
you.
I really
Bye bye,
appreciate
everyone who's listening. Love y'all.
it. Love you. Oh, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. What a great conversation. Oh, we learned so much and there's still so much more to learn, and what a beautiful person to learn with. So follow White Eagle on Facebook for sure. I'll be uploading this interview to YouTube, of course. So if you are watching it there, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. Get on to glamjewels.com, GLAMJULZ.com. Check out our amazing Mother's Day sale. Lots of beautiful jewels on there. And make sure to see our other sponsor, brendabadome.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. See you back here next week, and keep on showing the world your sparkle. Have a great rest of your day.